I-21 male, finished a building apprenticeship in February and got moved from minimum wage to $27.50 per hour. When my parents found out about this wage increase, they demanded that I start paying rent of $350 a week. Now, I would have been happy to pay some rent, but always paying what a studio apartment is worth for a bedroom I share with my brother is ridiculous. I was already paying a third of the household bills, as well as dropping my younger brother, nearly adult, and sister teen to school on my way to work every day, then pick them up after work, a detour of about a half an hour, as well as driving my sister to horse shows almost every weekend over the summer, which necessitated taking the occasional Friday, Monday off work. Plus, I do all of the repairs around their house, replacing windows, guttering, fixing the roof, etc., for free. So I refused and offered $150 a week and outlined the things I do for them. They said it was $350 plus all of the above or move out. My girlfriend had just moved out of home into a studio apartment to be closer to uni, so she offered to let me move in with her. Her apartment is $395 plus bills, which would have been around $30 per week per person, and it's almost half an hour closer to work than my parents were. So I told my parents in February that I was giving them 2 months' notice. I would be moving out, no longer contributing to bills, helping out around the house, or picking up, dropping off my siblings. They said that was fine. I think they were trying to call my bluff. I moved out in April and stopped paying bills or helping with the house, but kept driving my siblings to school as my parents' car broke, and it took them a few months to save enough to get it fixed. So I stopped driving them last week. Today my mom called me and begged me to start again and come fix the laundry floor. The washing machine had leaked, and the plasterboard wall was falling apart at the bottom. I refused to help with my siblings and told her that my rate was $27 an hour. But since she's family, I'd only charge her $17 an hour if she wanted me to fix it. She flipped her crap and called me selfish and ungrateful. So now my parents refuse to speak to me, and my siblings are pissed at me that they now have to walk 30 minutes from home to the nearest bus stop. We live rurally. I think I might be the idiot because living costs are expensive, and my dad can't work because of a herniated disc in his spine, and they're super mad at me. Not the idiot. I'm actually dying laughing. I really love to pay us $350 a week to share a bedroom, do all these other chores, and drive an extra hour out of your way each day. For $1,400 a month, OP can buy a 4-bedroom house where I live. The household responsibilities your parents wanted you to take care of are not typical roommate things. They are things a householder usually does. You were like an extra parent. That is not okay. But at least you were able to get out on your own without being afraid to fully embrace adulthood. So many young people stay at home for far too long, and it keeps them from breaking free of their parents' influence. You did good. I'm still trying to figure out why they are demanding so much from OP financially and as basically a parent, and getting upset at being charged a fair rate to do the work when their daughter is doing horse shows. Nothing against the daughter. She's innocent here and clearly doing a passion, but it's expensive to do riding. You are not the idiot. Your parents are learning the hard way what happens when you treat the older child as a third parent. Good on you for standing your ground. Yep, this is hilarious. Your parents pushed the line so far, thinking you wouldn't leave. They got greedy and now they're screwed. It's awesome. They clearly didn't think it through. Ultimatums don't always work out, especially if someone has the money and job to back them up and friends to crash with. Don't bite the hand that feeds, or in this case, don't bite the hand that fixes your broken stuff, drives your kids to school, takes your daughter to horse shows, taking time off work to do so, and pays for your bills. They were unreasonable and tried to call OP's bluff, and he was having none of it. Good luck in life, OP. It seems like you're working hard and it's paying off. I, 54 female, have been the main breadwinner for my family throughout my marriage. My husband owned and operated a business that was more like a hobby, which did not always cover its own expenses. I could well afford it, and it fulfilled him, so I encouraged and supported it. For the sake of my mother-in-law, my brother-in-law, and his wife, we essentially lied to her and allowed her to believe that my husband was the main breadwinner. This aligned with her traditional family views and gender roles. To keep the peace in the family, and given that we only visited a few times a year, I went along with this lie, even though I was subject to my mother-in-law's criticisms. For example, she could not understand why I needed to go on business trips, or why I could not cancel them for my kids' dance recitals or soccer games, or why I needed to hire a nanny, or why I couldn't always get a hot meal on the dinner table every night, etc. About a year ago, my husband passed away. After the funeral, my brother-in-law told me privately that he was sorry for the comments I'd endured, but believed it was worth it because my mother-in-law was able to grieve her son as a real man and provider. Mother-in-law later told me that she would take care of my kids and me, now teenagers, and I later learned from my brother-in-law that this has meant my family's share of the inheritance would be larger than that of my brother-in-law. I believe that this may have partly stemmed from some guilt for her consistent criticisms of me. Still, it is definitely consistent with her belief that my family has lost its main breadwinner. In her mind, this money will help my children maintain the lifestyle they had when my husband was alive. So, ironically, although we miss him dearly, we are now better off financially without my husband's business to support. My brother-in-law now insists that I correct the record with my mother-in-law so that he receives a more equitable share of the inheritance. But I told him to go screw himself. I may be the idiot because I colluded in a lie that may result in my financial gain at the end of the day. Not the idiot. Brother-in-law made this mess. Now he can clean it up. Either he can admit to his mom he lied about his late brother and ruin his mother's memory of your husband, or he can keep up the lie and endure a smaller inheritance. Either way, it wasn't your idea, and now it's not your responsibility. Yeah, if brother-in-law wants her to know, he can tell her they've been lying to her. Sounds like he wants OP to do it, so he can pretend OP and husband had been lying to them too, and maybe get more than an equitable share for himself. Money does things to people. Not the idiot. Your brother-in-law was happy to continue to lie, to make mother-in-law happy, and so no issue with you getting criticized and put down for it. Now that it's not benefiting him, he wants you to be the bad guy again so that he gets more money? If your mother-in-law feels that the man is the primary breadwinner and wants to give you more for that, let her. Brother-in-law should have spoken up in support of you sooner, or pushed for telling mother-in-law the truth when your husband was alive and before he had anything to gain from it. Brother-in-law doesn't care about mother-in-law's beliefs. He cares about the money. You are the idiot. I'm really sorry that I have to say that to someone who has lost her husband, but you are stealing your brother-in-law's inheritance. You don't need more than an equal share, and I can understand why he feels the way he feels. I think it is morally wrong to take money from someone you don't like and have been lying to for ages, but your children do deserve their dad's share. They, however, do not need more than what is fair. Either come clean or tell your brother-in-law you will sort it out after his mother's passing. I wish you endless amounts of strength in dealing with the loss of your husband, but don't use it as an excuse to be unfair. I'm a teen female and I live with my aunt in Colorado. I have a sister who is 22. We grew up in New York with our mom, never knew our dad. My mom passed when I was only a baby. That's when we moved to Colorado. But a lot of people from my mom's life still kept in contact with the family. One of these people was Jared, who our aunt always told us had been close friends with my mom. When my sister was nearly adult, she and my aunt's then husband had a huge explosive fight, and she left. She went back to New York and told us Jared had agreed to let her rent a room from him. 2 years later, they told us they were dating, which we all thought was super weird. But at that point, my aunt was in the middle of her divorce, and it was getting really nasty with custody of their kids. And since my sister was all the way in New York, even though she told her she thought it was odd, my sister told her she was happy and she loved him and he treated her well. So fast forward to now, my aunt is getting ready to move out of this house because she can't afford the payments. So we had to empty out the basement, and she gave me my mom's stuff that had been buried down there to go through. There were all kinds of pictures, letters, and journals, and it was cool to see that side of my mom. Then I found letters from my sister's new boyfriend to my mom from when he was deployed. Some really romantic stuff that would suggest they were dating, or at the very least had been together more than once. These letters are literally up until a week before the accident. One of them was still unopened because I guess it had arrived after Mom died. Do I tell my sister? She does finally seem the happiest she's ever been. I don't know what to do. Edit, sister looks exactly like my mom did. That's why I'm like, weird? Update. I texted my sister pictures of the romantic letters her boyfriend wrote to our mom. So I ended up taking a few pictures of the letters and texted it to my sister and said I found a whole bunch of them in Mom's old stuff, that I could send her pics of the rest if she wanted. That's all I said because I didn't want her to think I was judging her or her relationship or anything. A few minutes later, I get a call from my sister's phone and I answer it, but it's not my sister. It's Jared, and he was so angry. And it was kind of scary because I've always gotten along with Jared, but he flipped out. He told me that I was trying to start drama and that those letters were from a long time ago, and he didn't know my mom had kept them, and that it was an invasion of his privacy for me to read them. He told me that I'd better throw them out and not tell my sister about it, that she's happy. She's finally recovering from an eating disorder and gaining weight, and telling her about this could stress her out and be triggering. I told him I thought she should know, and he should be open about his past, and he said it would do more harm than good to tell her. He said not to try to tell her again. He was really mad, and it was pretty freaky. So I guess I'm not going to tell her, unless I can do it face to face. I think he might have already told her something about me though, because she's blocked me on literally everything, down to email. I guess it's not something she needs to know though, especially because he's right about how this might trigger her disorder. It sucks. It's very creepy that he seemed to be very into your mother and then switched to her daughter after she passed. He doesn't want you to hide it just for her sake. It's for him, or he would have been open about it before they started dating. Make sure you let her know. Get her on the phone and tell her you tried to tell her something, but he wouldn't let you and is trying to hide it from her. Then send them right while you're on the phone with her to be sure she gets to see it before he can delete it. This more than sucks. This is so wrong. That age gap and manipulation are messed up. The fact that he's trying to isolate your sister from you, through whatever nasty lies I presume, and use her eating disorder to guilt you as a grown 37-year-old man is crazy. Truly. Your sister is so young and still vulnerable, and you're even younger. He took her phone and looked through her messages? That's insane. I would guess she's not as happy as it seems, or she's completely oblivious to the true character of the person she's dating. I hope you don't lose each other because of this idiot. I hope you can get in touch with her and tell her the truth. Sadly, she may even still resist or lash out at you, but this is really wrong. I agree. This guy is at a scary level of controlling. If he can block OP on several different contact methods, then creating new emails, accounts, or using different phones to contact her wouldn't work. He's screening everything. If anything, I would call the police in her area to perform a wellness check to ensure she's okay. The only other solution to contact the sister is literally showing up on her doorstep. My teen mom left when I was a baby due to complicated stuff I don't want to get into. My dad met his wife when I was a kid. She moved to us, leaving her kid, now tween, behind with his dad. He'd come during the summer for a few weeks, and then last year his dad took a job in another country, so he came to live with us. With the global situation and everything, school wasn't back until late this year, and he didn't have any friends. So my dad insisted I bring him to hang out with my two best friends' younger siblings, who are all a similar age to him and who hang out as friends. The problem is the kids don't like him. They find him boring and whiny, which he is. He whines all the time. His interests are chess and books, and he treats reading time like you're in a library. Phones off and nobody talks. He complains when anything is physical in nature, and he doesn't like getting wet. One time they went to the park for the climbing frame, and he whined the whole time because of some drizzle, and he got all pouty because they wouldn't leave when he wanted to. Something similar happened this time, where they wanted to see a movie. He wanted to see something different to them, so they told him he should go home since he didn't want to see the movie with them. His mom was angry. She couldn't accept the kids wouldn't go along with what her son wanted. Then he found out they were doing stuff without him, and then was shocked no invite was sent his way. So he asked me what was going on, and so when it was just her, me, and my dad, I told him the kids don't really like him, that their interests are different and their ideas of fun are very different. She told me I should have better friends, because if the siblings are like that, then my friends can't be great either. She told me I should be sticking up for my brother. I told her he isn't my brother, and there's nothing wrong with the kids having different interests, and they need to find people who like that stuff. She's angry at what I said. I'm angry because she's talking about me not being allowed to hang with my friends anymore, and my dad is acting like it's nothing to do with him when he's my parent, not her. Not the idiot. You have a huge age difference, and with different likes and hobbies, and a complainer too. The parents need to see about enriching stepbrother's life, not OP. Suggest that maybe he join some clubs or find a hobby group, but make it clear that your stepmother can't force friendship for her son. Not the idiot. Your friends seem to like going out and being active, while your stepbrother is more of an indoors kind of guy. That's fine. Their interests just don't line up. I think you should tell your dad's wife that a good idea would be to try to encourage stepbro to join some clubs that share his interest. Also, dude, a bit rude to call him boring, because his main interests are chess and reading. Everyone can like what they like, and just because his interests don't match up with yours doesn't mean he's a boring person. Not the idiot. Your stepmother sounds like a nightmare, and your dad isn't much better. So she seriously wants to punish you for her kid can't make friends? Boy, your father will have a surprise when you move out and cut contact. Bit of background. When my nephew was born, my sister asked my parents if they would provide childcare while she worked. My mom was working part-time at the time, and my dad was working full-time, so they agreed that my mom would retire from her job to look after my nephew on weekdays, providing that my sister pays them the child benefit payment she gets, as my parents couldn't afford the loss of income from my mom retiring. Fast forward to my daughter being born, and my sister repeatedly mentioned how she expects me to pay my parents the same. I've had discussions with my parents, and they don't expect me to pay them for the childcare I need, only 1 day a week. The other difference is that my dad has received a pay rise since then, and they are living comfortably without my mom's income. Also, my parents got free childcare for me from my grandparents. My sister is annoyed at me for not offering, and at my parents for not expecting the payment. So, am I the idiot for not offering to pay my parents? Edit. My parents stopped charging my sister after the pay rise. Not the idiot. Honestly, it's really between her and your parents, but it seems like asking your mom to retire and look after your nephew every day when they couldn't afford to lose her income is a lot different from them being more financially stable and your mom only being asked for 1 day a week of care. But again, she can redirect her grievances to them if she's really that mad. Everyone's the idiot here, except your sister. Why should your sister have to pay, but you get free childcare? Imagine being her in this situation. She had to pay them, but because your kid came along 4 years later, you get to use your mom for free? That doesn't seem right. Not the idiot. It would be different if your sister was still paying for childcare at the same time you receive it for free. Your parents' circumstances have changed. End of story. They couldn't afford to have your mom retire and babysit for free then. Now they can. If your sister had another child now and asked for the same arrangements you are entering into, I assume it wouldn't cost her either.